All right, so shalom, shalom. I'll start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh Shem Shai. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole Flair Star with the 144,000 shalom. All right, so you know, Lord willing, the time made this a quick one, but I just want to go into, first I'm gonna, show that America came out of that, America is the revised Roman Empire. But then I also want to show, a few precepts going into, the characteristics and show some things that I got searched up as well that, that ancient Rome did that America does today to show you that, America is the revised Roman Empire, right? So first I'm gonna read Revelation 17 and 11, right? It says, right? It says, and the beast that was and is not even is the eighth, right? Which is America, right? It says, and it's of the seven and goes to perdition, right? Because we know the seven head is Great Britain. America break away from Great Britain, right? But also you got to understand that, if you go up to verse 7, it talk about how the seven headed Sihon carried her, right? Because America is that in that power seat of rise of empire, you know. America get to say so of it all. All the nations are drunken off the fornication of the wine of America, man. Of Babylon, right? Which is America, man. Right? That great whore, right? But it says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, because America is that eighth head, man. America is the eighth head, right? And it is the son that's like, and is of the seventh and goes to perdition. Because America gonna go into perdition. And that seventh head is Great Britain. We know America broke away from Great Britain, right? In verse 10, I was reading the end right here what it says, when he come with it's like it says, I'll read verse 10 real fast, actually. It says, and there were seven kings, right? You got Greece, Rome, Spain, French, Germania Major, Germania Minor, which is Germany today, and Great Britain, right? If five were fallen, that's Greece, Spain, French, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and these were at the time these were under rule, right? These were under rule of the Roman Empire, right? They were under rule of the Roman Empire, right? In the last year, you had Jake come in, and Jake was ruling under the Roman ways, such not, right? But they was under rule of the Roman Empire, right? It says it's not. It's like in the other is not yet come, right? And let's talk about Great Britain, because it says when he cometh, he must continue a short space. That when Great Britain came, right? That's why it was so easy for America to when Great Britain grabbed this global dominance, right? It's so easy for America to break away because they weren't just fully strengthened and established yet, right? But which, like the elders reiterated a lot, they still running things behind the scene, man. The city state of London, right? The three frauds, three spirits, right? The behind the scenes, they still running things, right? The top Baker family, the Rothschild, things of that such, right? The shadow government. That's why you go to Isaiah 14, talk about how, it shows you that, it talk about Isaiah 14, I want to say starting that verse, so real fast. Oh, starting at verse 4, right? It says, against the king of Babylon. King of Babylon is the president, but if you don't understand it, the president just a puppet, man. The president just a puppet. The president just somebody who they put out there that do their dirty work for them, right? So going back to Revelation, right? And I got this right here in my notes, man. Break it out for edification purpose, right? So it says, right, the five were fallen, which we name, right? I'm trying to go into right here. And the other not yet come is British Empire. And they did rule for a short time. That's why it was so easy for America to break away from them. They break away from them physically, but behind the scenes, England is still running things, man. Behind the scenes, they still, calling the shots, things and whatnot, right? So going from now, I want to jump up right here real fast to verse Revelation 17 and 7, right? It says, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee a mystery of the woman, and that woman which is America, right? And the beast that carried her, right, going into what those seven heads, which we just named, right, which have seven heads, 10 horns, because America is that, that 10 horns, right, represents the EU, European nation. America is the top of that, right? America's top of that NATO. America is that top country in this alliance, in this congregation together, right? Got it right here, right? The European nations are carrying America on their backs, right? You know, uh, right here. Even though all these different nations of Edomites are supposed to have all the same say, but America is the dominant one, man, right? The beast they talk about, the so-called European empires and her allies, which we name, right? And then when you search up, and it's funny because when I was looking at this yesterday, actually, right? When you see something, right? When you search up NATO countries, right? When you search up all of these, right? All of these are your countries in Europe, man. All of them, right? When you search up all of them, and I went and looked at that yesterday, and you see it, man, because that beast come out of that bottomless pit, right? And that's and that's what you got to see. That's what the scriptures be telling you, man, right? That beast like system. But America is that that powerful one. Everybody drinking out the fornication of the wine of America, man, right? So jumping down to verse 8, right? And it says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, right? And because when Paul writing this, Slacky, I keep saying Paul, when Apostle John writing this, right? Apostle John, he writing this right when the Roman Empire is in rule, but they go away, but they come back to America, right? So that beast that thou sawest was and is not. It's talking about America because it wasn't America's time yet. America ain't came in yet, right? And it says, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, right? Because out of those, as we just read, right down there in verse 11, right, that eighth head comes out of the seven heads, right? Eighth heads come out of seven heads, and when you see it, right, Rome was ruling over the five that's fallen, right? But and then America sitting in that power seat of the revised Roman Empire, and America is that big ruler today, man. Right? If you got a spirit to receive it, right? Because he hit me in the spirit earlier, even as I was searching up things, reading things on that, right? Because these fathers fallen were under the Roman rule, right? But then, right, you have the rise, you got the Renaissance come, the rise of Empire come. America is in that ruler seat today, because America is that golden cup, man. America is that rule. America is that top one. Even though they're supposed to have all say so, America is that dominant one, right? It shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, out of the seven heads, out of the congregation of those European allies, right? The EU, right? European Union, right? It says, and go into perdition. So America was coming in and is going to be destroyed, man. Right? It says going to perdition. Perdition is destruction, right? And it says, and they that dwell on earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. It's basically, to sum that up, right? If you're not of the elect, man, if you're not of that 144,000, you're gonna be destroyed. You're gonna be caught up and destroyed in this place, man. Because this place goes into perdition. You're gonna be caught up in that destruction, right? That's simple, right? It says when they beheld the beast that was and is not and is not and yet is. And let's talk about America, because America gonna emerge out of Rome, man. America emerged out of Rome, man. Right? Everything that ancient Rome did, America mimics that today, right now, right? I got it right here in my notes, right? America is the beast that was and is not, because America is going to emerge out of that Roman system, man. Right? That's what America is, that revived Roman Empire, right? So and this ain't these ain't what that was. I was just looking at that precept. This ain't nobody trying to and trying to sound like no Albert Einstein, smarty type guy. We're not trying to do that. This is all of the spirit of Habashin Shah. These are the deep things and the things that Esau try to hide and profess to try to hide who they are, you know. Because the Romans, the Greeks, they said them was Edomites, man. And when they came into rulership, as Christians tell, when they came into rulership, starting way back with the Greeks, Alexander the Great, Alexander the Greek, whatever you want to call him, as the elder called him, Alexander the Freak, right? You got to understand, man, that, you know, when they came into rulership, all these evils and transgression went out into the world, right? You know, and the Greeks, well, I was talking, Alexander the Great was the beginning of their rulership, but their rulership was coming to an end because when they came, because America, it goes into that enterprise, man. Job chapter 5. They needed that enterprise to establish, right? Establish it going on because the Renaissance started in Italy. And you got to think, right? That's why you got these European. That's why you got these Europeans. They traveling all over, right? They traveling all over and they needed a place to establish because the bottomless pit, it lacked resources. It lacked these things, right? So therefore they gotta go all over to establish somewhere to get it jumping. And America, and that's why it goes into Christopher Columbus, man. Christopher Columbus knew why he was coming over here to the Americas. They knew they needed that enterprise, that place where they can go establish it, man. Where they can go establish their foundation, right? So that's a lesson for another day, right? But understand it, man. This history that, you know, Esau try to twist it and turn to make themselves seem, you know, like the righteous people, right? But understand, if you know the true history, man, they're wicked, they're the evil. Edomites, man. Edomites are the wicked and evil, and they're going to be destroyed. And everybody else who caught up in the ways of them going to be destroyed, right? But this 1 Corinthians 2 and 4 real fast, right? It says, "And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in its demonstration of a spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Yahweh Shah," man, right? You know, we doing this in the spirit of power of Yahweh Shah, to learn these things, understand these things. I'll research things. That's all show you these things, which I'm going to do after we read a couple more precepts real fast. You know, showing, you know, that, you know, America coming out of that little horn, man. America coming out of that. You know, America coming out of that bottomless pit, man. America coming out of the Roman Empire, right? And which is that revised Roman Empire, right? And it says, right? Let's see. I get straight to the point. Verse 3, right? It says, "And I saw one of his head as it were wounded to death," right? That's when the Romans come out of power, right? They get beat by the Greeks, right? It said his deadly wound was healed, right? Was that the Renaissance? They come back into power, and all the world went after the beast once again. Was their revised Roman Empire? America. Where do everybody wonder after? What does Jeremiah 51 tell you? America's that golden cup. What everybody want to live, the American dream. Everybody loves the American lifestyle, the land of the quote unquote the free, right? Everybody loves this, but you see people from all over migrating and coming over here, man. You see that, right? Because America's in that top seat, right? So right, let's see. I want to bring 4 out things we're talking about when the Romans give their power to the. No, actually, it's at verse 2 where it's talking about with Romans get their power. The dragon is, you know, in this case, the Roman Empire, because, you know, he gave his power to the. And dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority, right? Because he gave that to the America's the rise Roman Empire, right? It's lucky, you know, talking to myself just to get the point across. All right, right here, verse 11, right? So I'm jumping out of verse 11, right? So this is Revelation 13:11, you know, and I was reading, matter of fact, you know, just to reiterate real fast for edification purposes, I was reading the end of verse 2, right? Because I was showing the fact of, like, so that dragon says, "And the dragon gave him power in his seat and great authority," right? How I've been saying this whole time, like America sits in that power seat of the rise Roman Empire, right? Because, you know, America's is in that dragon, right? That dragon right represent Rome, ancient Rome, right? And, you know, if you read down to verse 3, when they talk about, you know, the wounded to death, and then the wound was healed. That's that Renaissance and that revised Roman Empire, which is America today, right? And America once again sits in that power seat of that revised Roman Empire. That's why everybody wander after the ways of America. America's in that ruler seat, man. You know, when they join the wars, when they join these things, right? Who always win the war, things and such. You see it, man. You see it through glimpse of how about Shin Shah show it. It's all prophecy things as such, right? It's all doing how about Shin Shah. When you understand and see it, right? You start understanding. You start seeing the things that's unfolding. You start to see that America is in the hands of the wicked. You know, America ain't nothing but a wicked ass place, man. Right, and this place is gonna be destroyed. You see it all around, right? Even going from all the way back then, man. The Edomites ain't nothing but, they don't do nothing but kill, steal, and destroy, man. The devil, man. Right? So Revelation 13 and 11, right? It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Right? What is that? America, right? And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, right? What does that mean? Them two horns represent like the two parties, Democrat and Republican Party, right? And he spake as a dragon. What would you say that dragon? What would you say that dragon was up there, right? It's because it's that beast system, man. That dragon which is rolling up there, right? This is that beast system because America is America's that revised Roman Empire, right? But it still got that beast system, just like how Rome had. If you go back to the 12 Caesars of how when they attacked Jerusalem, man, how they cut the water supply off, cut the food off, killing and doing all the killing and persecuting the Jews things. That's the same thing that goes on over here in America, man. It's beast-like system. It's New World Order, man, right? Another point is, how they attack, how they sacked the temple back then, because the siege of Jerusalem started 66 AD, man. It ain't just happened in a day. Now they knew it because Jerusalem was defense, very well defense. So they knew they had to get into it. They knew they had to sack the temple things. That's the same thing they want to do today. This time they coming with that technology, man. They come with all that. They come with all these different gimmicks and games. Now they want to sack the temple by what? Because we're that spiritual temple. Now they want to do what? Right? The scriptures tell you, right? You the temple of Yahweh Shah Shah, rather paraphrasing, right? And now they want to what? Insert those chips inside of you. Now they want to give you that mark of the beast. That's how they're going to sack the temple. They want you to give in that way, right? But it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, right? Because that lamb is more of like a chill type thing, right? Coming in like they care for you, but they speak as a dragon. They don't care about you for real, right? Got it right here in my notes, right? Esau, how they speak peace with their laws, and they move like a dragon, man, right? The lamb, meaning coming in a soft manner as they care for you. The two horns represent the powers of the Senate, right? Republican Party and Democrat Party, right? And going into like how Biden came as a lamb, right? Things that such, right? How Biden came subtle, came all weak, things that such as he cared. That's going into the lesson, but you got a spirit understanding. You see it, right? The ones who know how Biden falling down the stairs all weak and all that type of things, right? But but read verse 11 again. If I go to verse 12, right, it said, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, right, which is America. He had two horns like a lamb, right, which was talked about, and he spake as a dragon, right? So that's what it says, right? And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, man. Which is who's the first beast before him? The ancient Rome, right? And it exercised all the power of the beast before him, right? And it says, and it causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose womb was deadly healed. To show you what, man? America's that revised Roman Empire. America's that beast that came out, right? That little horn, Daniel 7, right? That little horn that come out of Rome, that come out of Rome, the revised Roman Empire, which is America, right? They mimic all the things that ancient Rome did from back then, right? You know. And you see it, man. And you see it. And Lord willing, we're going to bring out some precepts to get into it. Right? I'll read verse 12 one time, right? It says that he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, which is ancient Rome, and whose deadly wound was healed. And we not just read that in Revelation 13:3, right? The Renaissance, the rise of the Empire when they came in, NATO, right? NATO is what, right? Do we not just search NATO up, right? NATO. Let's see. NATO started in Italy, right? We can search these things up, man. Oh, slack. I ain't even cut my Wi-Fi on. Bear with me. Florence, Italy, right? So let's see. Bear with me. Uh, but there we go. Born. Come on, man. Born, right? Come on. This. Come on, man. Right? You got to see it, man. Right? The Roman Empire was reborn. Right? NATO. That's where that's where it all that's where the Renaissance started at. Right? So I want to go from there. I want to go to First Maccabee, and these precepts show you characteristics of how you know Rome is the revised Roman Empire is America today, right? Because you understand it, right? So give a little back understanding on this, right? This is going into you had the first triumph, you had Julius Caesar, you had Pompey, you had Crassus, right? You how they fell out because Crassus died, things or not, but basically the whole argument was about that fight over power, man. Right? Nobody wanted them to have more power than them. Right? So what they do? This is where we got America Day. What they build, right? Matter of fact, I think I got that searched up, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right here, right? It says the first triumph was an informal political alliance among three prominent politicians in the late Roman Republic, right? Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Marcus Linnus Crassus, and Gaius Julius Caesar, right? And it basically like divided power, right? Now, the alliance between Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus, first triumph, first due to Crassus' death in battle, the death of Caesar's daughter, right? Pompey's wife, right? And growing personal tension between Caesar and Pompey. These events led to a shift in power dynamics and ultimately resulted in a civil war between Caesar and Pompey, right? So these power dynamics, right? So they seen how the type of power, because out of three heads, right? There were three heads, right? You had the 12 feathers and three heads, right? The three heads was you had Julius Caesar in the middle. You had Pompey and Crassus, but Julius Caesar was that more powerful one because of his status, basically, of lack of a better word, his status, and they started to feel like he was coming into that monarchy type power, right? To where hey, he ruled, and his son ruled, and his son ruled, right? Things of that such, right? It started hating on him, basically, man. His power was coming into play. So what did they build in ancient Rome? This ancient Rome now. What did they build, right? He said, moreover, and you can search these things up, man. Right? He says, moreover, how they made for themselves a Senate house wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered. So as I'm reading that, I'm like, okay, let's go search this up, right? Got it right here, right? Is a Senate house today? That's why I searched up. Is a Senate house today where both parties meet to discuss laws and things, right? Yes, the Senate House is a place where members of both the Republic and Democratic parties meet to discuss laws and related matters. Just like what? What they created in ancient Rome. So where did America get that from? Ancient Rome, right? Which is America's that revised Empire today, right? He says, and they committed their government to one man every year, right? You vote for the president, right? Who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them, right? And once again, this goes to show you that all that election thing, nah, they know who gonna be selected as president each time, man, right? Because this been going on since back then, right? This been going on, right? Let's see, have some most things searched up right here. Oh yeah, right here. So going into the legislative branch, right? So the U.S. government is uh, structured around three branches, and government is a compound word. Govern meaning control, right, and mint meaning mind, right. It says the legislative makes the laws, right. The executive branch forces the laws, and the judicial branch interprets the laws, right. This system is known as a separation of powers. Is designed to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. So now watch this now. Come on, look at this now, right? Many people in ancient Rome, particularly the Senate, feared that Julius Caesar was becoming too powerful and potentially aspiring to become king, right? Can you imagine Donald Trump being being up there for 40 years? Man, come on now, like, right? So what they do, right? Uh, Eventually, it led to them killing him, right? But what they do, they create the Senate where they go vote, where the Senate vote, and they pick the president that's selected each year. They do a 4-year term, then if he elected again, that's why they set the amount. He can only do it for 8 years. Right after that, he gotta sit down. Right? Once again, America adopted this way, but this to show you that your vote don't matter. Right? The voting started with the Romans. Instead of just having a king rule the whole time, they came up with voting. Right? To rule out that monarchy, man. And monarchy is just one king, and it goes down through your lineage. Right? I'm telling you, man. Right? When you get into deep research and you see these things, man, it shows you, man. Right? It shows you that America is just that vast Roman Empire, right? And I got one more, right? I wanted to go to. I say it wasn't gonna be no long one, right? Luke 2, right? And right, it says, and it came to pass in those days that went out, and if I'm not mistaken, Caesar Augustus was the king at the time when Yahushua was born, and I think he was sick. He was either, I know Apostle Harvey something like, I think he was either sick or whatnot, and then he ended up dying, and Tiberius came in, right? But that's also in 12 Caesar as well. But it says, and it came to pass in those days that went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that the world should be taxed, right? I want to search up a word real fast. Wait. See if I can search that this way. Might be spelling it wrong. Kalins. Right? Yeah, I'm spelling it right. Right? According to Kalins Thesaurus, some synonyms for calendar include schedule, agenda, diary, table time, program, list, and rota. Right? Let's see if it come up by typing like this. Well, the point being, right, Kalends, right, the calendar goes back to the word Kalends, right? And they create this word, right, back in ancient Rome, just when they used to announce what the first day of the month. so you can pay your debt, you can pay your taxes, man, right? And that's what America is big on taxes, man. America is big on taxes, right? Got it all right here in my notes, right? Uh, Another example, right? They show you that America is wrong today. They do taxes here across America. They big on it, man. They big on taxes, right? You got to pay them for you going to work. You go work, you go labor, and they take your taxes out. It's their debt, and that's what the word Chaldeans goes back to the word calendar, man. The calendar go back to the word Chaldeans, right? Is where in ancient Rome they used that to label the first day of, just how the first day of the month when you get paid, things of that sort, right? That's how they use when you had to pay your debt, had to pay your taxes. Right, I want to read this as well too. It says, censuses, account or enumeration of people often used for various purposes like taxation, military service, or understanding population. And that's why you got the social security number, because they just a number where they labeling you, man. Right? If you don't got no social, what does they say in America? If you don't got no social security number, right, you ain't a citizen, right? That social security number is to label and see how many people, label the people, keep the people number, right? You know, I read on down, it says, and this thing, it's like, and this tax was made first when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all that went to be taxed everyone into his own city, right? So you got to understand, man, that, America is that revised Roman Empire today, man, which is going to be destroyed, right? Let me see if I want to hit a precept in Daniel real fast. America's in that rise Roman Empire, and there's plenty more characteristics to even show you more in that, right? Them was just a few them was just a few to show you, man. America is that rise Roman Empire within, a lot of things searched up and how America run today, but. If a man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. But if you got the spirit, how about Shah? You see it, man. It's a lot more characteristics as well. I did a lesson a while back, right? Just showing, it was a video of them showing how, like, the football stadium, like Roman Coliseum, all type of things, man. It's plenty things that, how ancient Rome did their thing and how America do it today, right? They mimic each other, because America is that revised Roman Empire, right? Which is eventually going to be destroyed, man. So Lord willing, right, this lesson was edifying and exalting. Right, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole flesh throne with the 144,000.